Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, and today I'm returning to an annual catalogue beautiful set which I really haven't played with and showcased as much as I would have liked to really, and it's the beautiful Tasteful Touches stamp set. You can see here I've just done a lovely sort of layered card just with some pretty simple stamping. So I'm going to use similar colours, not quite the same. I've used a bit of, on this one, early espresso for the layer, whereas I'm going to use a bit of smoky slate. I've used Brushing Bride and Calypso Coral, where I think I'll use a bit of Flirty Flamingo, and good old-fashioned sort of fussy cutting and decoupage. So let's get started. So to start off with, you're going to need a 10th fold card, and this is 29 by 10.5 centimetres, 11.5 by 4 1/8, scored at 5 3/4 or 14.5, but obviously half a sheet of A4 cardstock into a 10th fold, whatever your preference is for measurements. Doesn't have to be precise. And I'm starting off with the stamping actually on the card itself, and I've got my smoky slate here, so slightly lighter. I'm going to first of all just stamp a bit on the scrap card. Okay, and then just stamp it above and below where our panel's going to be. So we want 3 of those. Now for the panel across the middle, you're going to want a piece of smoky slate, and this is 6.8 by 10.5, so 4 1/8 by 2 3/4, and then you want to make your layer just 2 7/8, no, 2 3/4, 2 5/8 of Whisper White, and I've just used my panel of Whisper White for that. So we'll grab another piece of cardstock and quickly cut ourselves a panel. So because it's 6.8, my panel across the middle is going to be 6.5, and then just by 10.5, so I'm just double check, that's slightly narrower. The dangers of having extra card on your table. So that's going to be my lay. You see there, just with a narrow layer. And what I'm going to do is stamp on this as well. Just use a scrap of paper underneath. I'm going to stamp off the edge. So just I'm just going to stamp up above as I would have done on my layer, and down below as well, just so you get. And I'm actually going to use that scrap just to mask where those cross over. So hopefully, there you go. There we go. We've got our effect there. Next, I want to stamp my flower. And this reminds me of an anemone. Yeah, I think they're such pretty flowers this time of the year. So that's our panel, so I'm going to keep that to one side. And in Flirty Flamingo, I'm just going to stamp the flower. It's red rubber, so I don't need to use my Stampin' Pierce mat to get a really good impression. And again, I'm just going to stamp that for a second time as well. I'm going to cut that out, and then on this panel we're going to take it up a sort of a lighter shade, and I'm going to come in with this pretty panel here. So I'm just going to start, I'm going to kind of off the bottom here, so over stamping those leaves, and then I'm just coming across on a diagonal. I'm not trying to match it up, in fact I've stamp that really wonky, but never mind. Just to give a sort of an impression of sort of colour across the top and bottom there. Just to give us sort of a kind of textured feel. So that's going to be our panel, and all I'm going to do is grab my stamping seal and just add this to a piece of smoky slate. Just pop that in the centre there. And as I say, it's just a narrow border to give a really nice effect top and bottom. We've got there. Okay. And then we're into fussy cutting. So I'm using, of course, my Stampin' Snips, and all I'm going to do is just very quickly come around the outside edge of these. Like so, and as you can see, I mean, I've said it before, I'm sure you're all aware of this. The way I do it is by sort of really holding the scissors pretty much where they are, and then moving the card to get that nice smooth shape, like so. So that's my main flower. I'm then going to come in with my sprig. Now again, you know, if fussy cutting isn't your thing, then, you know, you like die cutting, then the Forever Fern would be a great one to do a similar style card with. I'm just sort of keeping to these soft colours. I do tend to chop the excess away if I can. I just find it makes it a little easier to manoeuvre. Like so. And if I was a real tech whiz, which I always say I'm by no means, then obviously you could, I could speed this bit up. But this gives you an idea of how long it takes in real time to create a card. And I do like to do that because I think, you know, sometimes, you know, you speed things up and actually, you know, people get disheartened because they feel, you know, they're never quite sure. And I do like to make projects that, even with a little bit of prep, can be made in sort of 20 minutes. Even if I do get the editing a little bit wrong, occasionally chop off the wrong chunk. But hey, you know, you get what you get with me. So, and those of you who come to my classes, you know what it's like. We do things and we have a laugh as we go along as well. It's so nice to get back together with classes with folks. Let's hope that that is soon. Okay, so there we have another panel. So that's going to go onto the front there. I might just chop a little bit out of here. Like so. And then for the centre bit, all I'm doing is I'm cutting out those sort of that outer layer of petals. So whichever way you feel is easiest, what I'm doing is sort of cutting out the middle bit. It just adds a little bit of dimension. Very sort of traditional crafting, decoupage. And you can cut away as much or as little as you want. So I sort of like to think about what would be just at the fore. So there we go, like so. So we're almost there. And what I like to do is shape those flowers a little bit as well, rather than just having them flat. You get that curve in there, and it just, to me, brings it to life a little bit more. And with our leaves as well, like so. And then we're on to creating our layers. So I'm going to grab my dimensionals. I'm going to use the mini dimensionals on the leaves because obviously those sort of are smaller, so they can pop in those little little gaps that we've got. Just pop that. And then there's, oh, I should not put a dimension on there. That just goes over the top there. And then slightly bigger dimensionals, our standard dimensionals for the back of the flower, where you want it, sort of, you want it to be well supported on the back there, but then one in the middle. So when you create your flower, and obviously you could also add in and just layer that. Sorry, halfway through the sentence stopped there. Just layer that over where it would be. And obviously, if you wanted to, you could cut a couple of flowers and make more of a kind of, you know, a posy effect. And then enough dimensionals on the back to give it some support, especially if it's going in the post. You don't want it to arrive flat, so add a couple on that back panel as well. Now this is where it's unusual, because actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this on and then I'm going to stamp, which is not something I would normally do. But what you can do is you can always stamp and cut out, fussy cut the sentiment as well if you wanted to. Right, so if we pop this, and you can see, if I show you, that actually even though it doesn't line up perfectly, you sort of get an impression of it lining up with those sprigs of flowers, like so. And then the final touch is the sentiment, and the reason I'm putting it on now is because it's easy for me to actually get it straighter. So what I'm going to do is make sure my card is lined up on my grid paper, and I'm going to come in just underneath there. So slightly different to my original, only with the spacing, but you can see that the pink and grey always work well together, and whether you use Flirty Flamingo or Calypso Coral, you end up with a card that's just rather pretty and perfect to pop in the post to someone. So thanks for watching. Come back and see me again soon, and if you'd like to purchase any of the products you've seen, Tasteful Touches stamp set is in the main annual catalogue, but you can find it on my blog, or if you go below into the description box for this video, you'll find the links to all the products there. Thanks for watching. Bye now.